Hey buds, today we're going to be going over all of the little details in Life is Strange double exposures, reality or like time shifting. I was really amazed at the subtle differences, and with that being said, I'm talking about the subtle differences. Like, to help you know what timeline you're in, there's like certain Christmas decorations and stuff like that, and obviously different people depending on where you are. If I go to this reality, it's just trash can. I am more focused on the little things, so we're gonna get right into that. I'm only gonna be showing you up to chapter 2 because this game is still early access at the moment. So this is actually the first thing that I noticed while I was playing the game. We have this very cool pirate girl over here, and aside from the very obvious Christmas related things like the Krampus holding a baby and the wreath, she is really just sticking her tongue out, having a great time. Same for her little cat guy here. But I noticed that when I was actually playing it in the dead dimension, she is really sad. And I also noticed that right here it says RIP SL, so Safi Llewellyn. We also have certain things like this light here in the living world is actually turned on. And as you can tell, it really livens up the area. We've got more lighting here, and we can see the snapping little turtle, which to my knowledge hasn't changed at all. I think it was just the pirate girl. Another thing is that you can see this flyer over here in the living universe, where if you have the cat DLC content, then you can actually find a cat that comes to Max's house, and you can actually deliver it back to its owner. But I thought that this was a lovely little touch where it's just like missing cat, like it's like a little tiny detail. And of course, it doesn't really have a main focus. It's not as huge as, let's say, the pirate girl's change, but it's one of those subtle details that I felt like were really, really necessary to have in this video. Also, another detail that I sadly cannot really showcase in this video is the music. The music in the Dead World is a lot more somber and it's a lot sadder overall, but in the living world, everything's fine and it's just like a normal December day. But let's move on to the next area that Max can shift to, which is Caledon Campus. And here we are, Caledon Campus. Some details that are really noticeable are like that guy skating on the ice. Everybody's gonna see him, everybody will notice. Some of the things that you might not notice are little details like this, where in this world, these little snow forts are actually piled up to the brink, and that's because we saw Moses walk through here, and Diamond and I believe Reggie, they were about to peg him with snowballs. But in the Dead World, this is not what happened. They actually didn't get to complete these snow forts. For obvious reasons, because Safi died and you don't really want to build a snow fort when your friend died. Snow David here is very, very excited to see Safi still alive and kicking it, which in the Dead World, he's definitely not. We also have this like little random peace spot where it is not here in the dead dimension, so I don't know what could have been here. And another animal related thing is that in the living universe, this squirrel here is dead, but in the dead universe, it is not there. So I don't know what that owl did to this guy, but poor thing. But that is everything outside of campus, so we're gonna go into the admin building here and see the differences. And right off the bat, the library is the thing that has changed the most in my eyes. There is a clear difference here. There is no fireplace that is lit. In the Dead World, we also have this student who I think is just really sad. So sad that his eyeballs don't really want to work right, but that is okay because in the living world, he is actually not there at all. So it must be him grieving Safi, or maybe he's just sitting there having fun. And yep, another thing is in the living world, there are little mustaches on these busts, which is a nice little fun detail to show that the living world is still very much that, just full of life still because Safi hasn't died. Another thing to point out is that in the Dead World, there is nothing on this table, but if you shift realities into the living world, then it says free stress relief kiosk right here, where it's got some fidget spinners, fidget toys, candies, including the one that we gave to Safi, and keeping with the theme of the Dead World in this little office where Vin is all the time, everything is very visually cluttered. The lighting here is very cold, and there is just a mess everywhere. Like it says mess. But if we were to go to the living world, then there is nothing there. Everything is neatly put back into where it goes. And of course, he's not freaking out about Safi's death with all the magazines on the floor like he is in Dead World. And the last room in the admin building is the mail room, where everything in Dead World is pretty much just that. It's dead. There's not a lot of packages really laid out everywhere aside from in these little cubbies that are individualized for probably students or faculty. But of course, if we were to shift over to the living world, it is super live. We have this anxious girl talking to her mama about everything going on in college, as well as packages everywhere. We have a totally messier room here. And even though things like that are really small details, I feel like it really sells the idea of, oh my God, a girl just died on this freaking campus. Nobody's gonna be here like, oh my gosh, when did my U2s come in the mail? So let's move on to the fine arts building. And in the fab, there is a lot of different things. Specifically, each of these paintings are different. So most of the time it is just a small change or like an inverted design, but it is still so amazing that they added this. And if we turn the corner over here, we'll have a few more paintings to look at. We have this one where a person has 3 eyes. And of course, I'm pretty sure that they just inverted this so that way it's flipped horizontally, but still. Same for the painting where the woman is trying to put out the fires. It is just inverted to the opposite side, which is not only a very nice touch to show that this world is somehow subtly different, but it's also like, God damn, these artists are good, because when I draw something and flip it horizontally, it always looks so busted, but this looks amazing. But I know for certain one thing that is not just flipped horizontally is this painting and the one next to it, but we're gonna look at this painting first. So this painting, we have a few skulls here where one of them has like a flame coming out of their head, a crown on it, stuff like that. But if we shift realities, then we'll see that this actually changes where there is not a skull anymore, but there is just a normal dude, and it seems like the middle character is leaning more towards the outer right character. And it's got a lot more warmer colors. There's a lot more orange and a lot less kind of like bluish tones and greens, of course, going on, which I think is wonderful for the little subtle detail that Safi is dead in this world, but alive in the warm color world. Similarly, this painting here in Dead World is actually of Amanda, which you get to talk to in the Snapping Turtle. However, if we were to shift realities, there is something really off about her. This is a brand new painting, just like the other one, and it shows her in a very different light, kind of more constructed. It really emphasizes, I feel, how grief is. This one is more abstract. You don't know how to feel. There is kind of like that sadness, that frustration, that confusion overall. But in the living world, it feels like everything is a lot more put together and completed, a lot more straightforward even in her looking at you directly. Oh my God. I think I just realized why people go to art museums now. I've never had that experience before, but yeah, that is a lovely touch. I absolutely adore that. And another thing is just lighting overall, not to mention the decorations, but lighting. This is a lot warmer lighting. Everything feels a lot more welcoming, a lot more like, this is such a nice place to be. Everything's all right in the world. But if we go back to Dead World, it suddenly feels a lot more cold and cut off. Everything's a lot more gray. The light coming in from the window isn't exactly like the warmest that it could be. Have another one of those inverted paintings here with this little skull dude where he's just flipped horizontally. So I'm not really gonna pay much mind, but I thought it was something worth mentioning because you notice it while you're switching back from timeline to timeline. You're kind of like, wait, that doesn't look right. And going back to what I said about the Amanda painting, this one is very abstract in the Dead World, kind of emphasizing that everything feels kind of flipped around and not as it should be. But if you go over into the living world, it is still abstract, but now it is totally different. We have a little version of, I'm assuming, this duck man, and he is riding a bike instead of a unicycle. So in the living world, it kind of really nails home that feeling of you're not alone. This is a bike built for two type of thing. There are two of us here, but in Dead World, it is I am a solo act and I am on my own, which is very much how losing a loved one or a friend can feel. And in Gwen's room, the living world is very very, very messy. She was just escorted out by police. So she obviously didn't have a lot of time to like clean up, but in the dead world, everything is a very, very calm, cool, and collected. Not to mention this little calendar where if you're a fan of Before the Storm, like myself, then you will know what the hell Firewalk is. Firewalk is a band that you go to early in Life is Strange Before the Storm, and I actually have a tattoo from the game, so I'm a little bit of a fan, and I love seeing little details like this. And not to mention seeing this on Gwen's desk is just, it's so nice, because I keep on thinking of my girls, and I miss my girls. But these girls will have to do for now. But with Gwen's office out of the way, let's go to another area that has some differences, but that are a lot less subtle than this one. And this is another one of those very minute details. But in the dead world, this is one of the things that I'm talking about mostly with lighting. Everything's a lot more ambient, and you can really, really tell just by lighting and the clouds and everything alone that something is not right here. Something is a lot more sad. And the total opposite of that, you can see in the trees, we have a clear sky. Everything is really warm, and something even a little bit smaller in the living world. This is actually a very clear and melted through path kept up with by the college to make sure no student like trips or falls or anything. But in the dead world, it is quite the opposite. We have the police tape. We have a bunch of snow just all over the place here. Wait, what the hell is this?
Hello?
Hello? This is Safi. Yes, this is Safi and Fayyad.
Speaking. Shit! I know you. No wonder Reggie had a panic attack. This goes against everything I learned in horror movies, but I should check for more weird shit.
Okay, and another small detail is that, because I didn't notice that when I first played through this a few days ago, and now I'm questioning my life. So give me one moment, and then we'll continue looking at the subtle details. But yeah, what I was saying is that the ground is, it's a lot cleaner, more maintained, because nobody died in this universe, so the university still has to, like, maintain this little strip of the Overlook, but in the dead world, they have done the exact opposite. They've just neglected it, not only because Safi was murdered, like, 5 steps away, but also just because, like, it's cut off from everything. It's so disjointed that it doesn't feel like it's part of the college anymore. It feels like this total separate entity in and of itself where Safi was killed at. And like I said, with the lighting, this fog that you see that covers basically the entire campus and all of everywhere is totally different than how you see it in not only the little Zen moment, but also just in general. The fog makes it really shrouded in that uncertainty, in that feeling of what's to come, what's out there, what's happening. But in the living world, it's all's right. You can see for miles, everything is all clear. And I think that that is wonderful environmental storytelling. And I'm just, I'm such a fan of this game so far, if you couldn't already tell. But let's go to the final destination, which is Max's house. Now, as you can tell, first thing, this is very open in the living world. It's very bright. It's very, oh my God, it really captures the beauty that is Vermont. There are some small changes. So all of this light is cascading in through the windows. But if we go over to the dead world, in the dead world, all of the windows are closed and there is no light seeping in as it once was. Maybe up at the second story, but that's about it. Not to mention the fact that there are so many things just littered about down here, kind of showing, like I've said said multiple times already, the chaos that comes with losing someone that you love or that you deeply care about. It goes from having this very lovely countertop to a very messy one, not knowing how to feel. We have a little depression meals, we have random pans that will probably not be cleaned, let's be real. And the last thing that like really caught my attention, a single bowl on this counter, which at first glance doesn't really seem like anything, but if you think about it, we're in the dead world. Something was taken from us. But in the living world, the bowl is still filled to the brim with fruit. Very much, Safi is still in our lives. She's still completing us to make this centerpiece on this counter. But in the dead world, it's empty. It's still the centerpiece. It's still the main focus, but now it's missing what makes it special, what gives it its life. And I feel like that is just the perfect depiction of grief. And I feel like this game does that really, really well. But Budz, that is going to be it for me today. If you're interested in seeing my full gameplay, then you can check out these two videos here. These are my chapter 1 and 2 full playthroughs, and I will be streaming and uploading all double exposure chapters when they come out on October 29th. So join the village today. It's only a click away, so you don't miss out on any of those videos.